I got you on there.
I know, but I got me with my 5 chins.
That's fine.
So, yeah.
Driver.
If it's either him, that guy with the blue shirt was here last week. Hey, are you a truck driver? Are you a truck driver?
No.
Okay.
What a weird question. Just to like, are you a truck driver? Hi, Stacy. I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah. There's somebody that was supposed to be coming that we don't know, but he drives a truck and he keeps getting letters.
From the city, so we were going to ask about that.
They go to chambers. When I came to it, they talked about a few things. Yeah.
Where's Mel? Missing again.
I'm a little worried about him. He still gets his $17,000 though. Even though he hasn't been here in 5 weeks. I do like him though.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? The one guy.
Still more reason
The
why.
one guy that did this in Children's Stacy's
Are you
show.
sure that?
Jacob.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we do. We go to Jill's house. And Steve's there.
He's here.
Now we call him.
Call me. I didn't like.
So I'll take it while you get up and talk, and then you take it while you get up and talk.
Okay. I have no idea what
Inside scoop. Yeah.
You wing it all the time. I can't. I have to have bullet points.
How good.
I think that I'm just going to say,
Yeah, I saw her Facebook. Talking about the ladies for me. As soon as I saw her eyeballs popped out.
Well, you see how they put it in here?
yeah, brother.
I do.
All prepped.
No, he's in the States. They put it sort of like.
We just do it as.
Call the meeting of Florence City Council business meeting to order. You please stand.
We pray for the wisdom to make decisions that are beneficial to the people represented here. Empower us to speak honestly, reflect wisely, and go with integrity. We seek your guidance tonight. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carroll. Ms. Chambers. Here. Mr. Wynn. Here. Ms. Kemper.
Here.
Ms. Wingo.
Here.
Mr. Osborne. Here. We have a quorum.
First item is approval of the minutes of the special meeting of February 20th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Wynn?
Second.
Ms. Kemper? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is a presentation from Bruno from St. Elizabeth. So Bruno, welcome to the podium.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me come back tonight. It's been a while. So my purpose here is really twofold tonight. Number one, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. As you know, the last couple of years have been pretty busy at Florence, and I want to give you a little bit of an update on St. Elizabeth as a system, but then specifically what we have done. And then, but I also want to take this time to introduce, so I'm retiring in April, and I know I look way too young to retire. I know what you guys are thinking, but I wanted to introduce you to Dr. LaTanya Brown, who is going to be taking my place at Florence, but she's going to have some other responsibilities as well. She's our Chief Clinical Quality Officer for the system, and she's going to be the site administrator for Florence. So welcome, LaTanya, and she's not a stranger, but I'll let you say a couple words if you want, and then I'll
very nice to meet you all. And I'm looking forward to working with you in as collegial fashion as we can make it, so that we can continue to serve the needs of the community at St. Elizabeth Florence.
Thank you.
Dr.
Welcome.
Brown's been a physician of ours for how many years?
15.
15 years, so she's no stranger to the organization. All right, let me just, I'll fly through these a little bit, but I want to kind of give you a bit of an idea of how we ended 2023 as a system, and then I'm really excited to share with you our progress at Florence. So you know we have 6 facilities in the area, one in southeast Indiana, so Covington, Dearborn, Edgewood. You see the new picture of Florence, so we replaced the old one. Fort Thomas and Grant. Our mission is, as a Catholic healthcare ministry, we provide comprehensive, compassionate care to all we serve. Our vision is to lead the communities that we serve to become some of the healthiest in America. And then our guiding principles are really our values and what guides in what we do. We hold ourselves and our staff accountable for these, and innovation, collaboration, accountability, respect, and excellence. It's our culture and what we do. So a little bit about St. Elizabeth's as a system. These are statistics for 2023. Over 54,000 acute care admissions. We had over 762,000 outpatient visits across the system for a year. 2 million physician office visits. I think our SEP physicians, I think we have almost 100 sites of care now spread out through northern Kentucky and Grant County. Did over 3,500 lung screenings for the year. Our emergency rooms were very, very busy across the organization. We had over 187,000 patients. Welcomed 4,530 new babies to our families, and we did over 38,000 different surgeries for the year, and then had over almost 4 million patient encounters across the organization. St. Elizabeth represents about 10% of the northern Kentucky economy. We're the largest direct employer with over 11,000 associates now. 80% of our associates and physicians all live in northern Kentucky. I'm really proud of that. And then our associates and St. E's, we contribute about $80 million in combined local and state taxes annually. Our total economic impact is about $2 billion to the northern Kentucky, to the economy. A couple other things, I won't go through all of this, but we're considered a safety net hospital, so we have about $100 million in community impact each year. These are pretty small, it's probably hard to read these, but they're bucketed in about 8 different areas. We have about $28 million in uncompensated Medicare losses per year, and that's simply, Medicare pays you what they're going to pay you, regardless of what it costs us to do the service. We give about $3.6 million in community health improvements. We have $3.2 million that we spend on educating physicians and rad techs and professionals and the pipeline that we have to feed. We have programs with our local colleges and things like that. So that's what's in that bucket. Our traditional charity care, and this is really folks that can't. We provide care, as you know, to people irregardless of their ability to pay. So you hit our emergency rooms, you hit our sites, we take care of you, and regardless of whether you can pay or not. And that's roughly almost $26 million a year right now. Uncompensated care is about $10 million, and that's patients and folks that hit our organization that we thought could pay and would pay, and this is just basically bad debt, things that we don't collect at all. And then we have about $27 million in cash and in-kind contributions, and that bucket is really organizations in northern Kentucky, organizations that we help support their ministries, transitions, our alcohol, drug, and rehab programs, community organizations that we contribute financially to help them succeed in their mission. And that's running about $27 million a year. So that's kind of our community impact from an uncompensated perspective. Let me tell you a little bit about Florence. Florence was really busy in 2023. We had 125,000 outpatient visits just in the city of Florence, 49,000 emergency room visits. So we had over 450 more ambulance runs in 23 than we did in 22, and Florence accounted for over 35% of that. So Hebron, Erlanger, Edgewood, huge increase in runs over the year. So it just kind of tells us what's happening in our organization, and I'll share a little bit more with you what we're going to do to help deal with that. And we did over 6,200 surgeries in outpatients just at Florence last year. Orthopedics just moved over. We'll see a little bit more of that probably next year. We're known for robotic and general surgery, really healthy practice. There are emergency room, our vascular center. We have we got a lot of orthopedic surgery now, and now with the line moving over from Edgewood, we'll see even more of that. We have a really high-rated spine center, and then we do a lot of bariatric surgery on campus, and are known for that. Some of our notable accolades, we just got redesignated as a magnet hospital in Florence, and that's really a nursing center. That's a nursing excellence accreditation. That's, you have to meet some pretty heavy metrics to be recognized, and a lot of hospitals in the country don't even get that as a first shot. We're a primary care stroke center certification. We achieved our spine surgery certification by the Joint Commission, our shoulder arthroscopy certification November 22, and then, as I just said, we're a bariatric center of excellence. So this is the stuff, this is the fun I've had for the last couple of years, is really redeveloping the Florence campus. So you can see that's our new front entrance. This is what it used to look like on the upper left, and this is what it looks like today. So it's amazing how a little bit of glass can transform people's image of that. But we have really high quality in our campus, and so our roadway configuration is Houston Road right here. This is the old. You can kind of see this has really been the pain points for us. Coming in, and we took this whole roadway and curved it right, and then we have these 4 drop-offs now. We have the endoscopy building, the medical office building. The new entrance here has a drop-off, and it also has a discharge pickup, separate discharge pickup area here. So we're forcing all the traffic to go right, and then so it's much more logical than what we had before, where you would come in and go straight to that entrance and then figure out what entrance you had to go to. Now, we still have some confusion here, and we're trying to do it with signage and road directional and things like that. So we have a bit of a challenge still, and we're not completely done with the parking lot resurfacing yet, so that's still coming. So let me just go through with you. So that the orthopedic surgery project that we just completed was a 2-year, $85 million project, right? But the last 5 years, we spent almost $170 million just at Florence in improvements in the endoscopy building, the orthopedic center we just built, and everything that we're doing. This is the new. This is the new concourse right here. As you come in the front entrance, this is the patient concourse. So that's brand new. This is our PACU, our post-operative care unit bays. All of our operating rooms. We had 10 operating rooms that we refreshed, and we built and added 5 additional. And those just opened a couple of months back. So these are all the things that we did. We increased PACU bays from 9 to 22, so all in anticipation of orthopedics coming over, and then growth. Same-day surgery increased from 8 bays to 32, so it's a significant increase. We moved our skilled nursing unit off of the Florence campus over to Edgewood because they were growing, and we just didn't have the bed capacity at Florence to house them, so we transferred the CON over to Edgewood, and they're going to continue to grow over there. We built out an administration center, consolidated all those services, pastoral care, got a new space. Our health information management systems got some new space, and then created an orthopedic education and conference center, because we do a lot of orthopedic surgery where you have to just pull patients in and educate them. Gave the physicians a little bit bigger lounge. We had a fair number of docs that came over to the organization. So that's kind of what happened the last couple of years. And then the endoscopy center was almost a $30 million project, and that now has 3 floors. Procedural floor, floor with all the physicians, and the top floor is a half spine center for the physicians, and the other half is a procedural section. So that's all been relocated to our campus as well. A couple other pictures here. This is our administration center, PACU bays. We also increased the cafeteria, and we had almost 90 more associates that came over from Edgewood with the orthopedic line, so we had to do something down there. And then this is what some of our new patient rooms look like. The private, they're much bigger. Orthopedics, as you know, they need bigger patient rooms, so we're able to increase that by 16. So we have 32 orthopedic beds now on the campus, and went from there. Then we figured out what to do with the land in between the 2 buildings. So we put a rose garden in there, and there's bricks over here that people had bought over the years and put people's names in it. So we took a drone shot just to make sure they all got back to the same place, because people get pretty particular about where they're bricked and the size and where you place them. So that turned out really, really nice. It gives people a place to reflect and things like that. We're really excited about that. So what's next at Florence? Well, you heard me say a little bit about the emergency room growth, right? So we have on the table right now a $15 million 3-year project that's is gonna renovate the emergency room entrance, the space inside. We're gonna create some fast track rooms, some additional triage rooms, a protocol room. We don't have enough trauma rooms right now, so we're gonna build 3 new ones divisible by 2 each, so we'll build 6 bays, or 3 traumas or 6 additional bays. And then we're gonna create a new lobby area, and an area that's what we call our treat the street area, that we could just triage patients faster, because you probably know we've had a tough year boarding patients. We're trying to get them up into beds, and you know they're in hallways for a long time, but this will give us an area to more efficiently determine whether they can be discharged quicker instead of having to just wait. So that is actually going to start in June of this year. I put this in the deck just so if somebody wants to take a look at it, but that's the scope of work here, is all of this right here is a scope. And you'll see that. And that'll start in June of 3 years. And we're not going to really increase the size, but we need to create some efficiencies within the space itself, and then we'll kind of take it from there. And we floated out some other ideas on what it would take to add beds to the facility, and Boone County continues to grow. I think it's the fastest growing county right now, and it's on a pretty upward trajectory. So that's Florence, and I just personally want to thank everybody for your support. I really enjoyed getting to know the council members, and I'm going to take some time and figure out what I'm going to do next. So I really, really, really appreciate you guys giving me the time. And I'll answer any questions if you have it. And I'm leaving the organization in really good hands. Really good hands. I'm excited. Yeah.
Will you do a ribbon cutting for that ER center? Are you going to do a kickoff for that?
Yeah, we'll, Lou Horns, our project manager, we'll probably have some kind of a shovel in the ground type of thing, and then.
Okay.
But it'll be 3 years out from completion, because it's a really heavily phased project.
Sure.
We won't be shutting anything down. So.
All right, thank you.
So Bruno,
Yes.
we do have proclamation in your honor. And I'm gonna say your name wrong, so I'm just gonna say Bruno. Whereas on April 5th, 2024, Bruno will retire from a distinguished career in healthcare leadership, and whereas Bruno obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology from DePaul University and a master's degree in public health from St. Xavier University, which has navigated an illustrious career, leaving an indelible mark on the healthcare landscape. And whereas Bruno has been in healthcare leadership, highlighting his strategic vision and commitment to healthcare innovation for over 40 years, serving at Resurrection Medical Center and Presence Health before relocating to Northern Kentucky in 2015, where he continued his leadership at St. Elizabeth Healthcare as Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. And whereas Bruno's accolades include being the recipient of the 2023 Kenton County Pioneer Award and transforming the Northern Kentucky Heart Chase event for the American Heart Association into the country's largest, attesting to his unwavering commitment and dedication to community health. And whereas beyond his professional accomplishments, Bruno has served as president of the Transitions Incorporated Board of Directors, the Covington Business Council Board of Directors, and the Catholic Fund Board of Directors, which exemplify his commitment to promoting positive change well beyond the hospital walls. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Julie Abishon, Mayor of the City of Florence, and on behalf of the City of Florence City Council, take great pleasure in recognizing the significant professional achievements of Bruno and express our sincere gratitude of the invaluable contributions he has made to our community. In witness hereto, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Florence hereto this 27th day of February 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I told Dr. Brown she did have big shoes to fill. So. Next is the second reading of Ordinance O-33-2024. It's an ordinance annexing certain territory consisting of two parcels of approximately 1.194 acres and 4.127 acres located at 1 Gridiron Lane, adjacent to the city limits, Boone County Pee Wee Athletic Association, Inc. This ordinance annexes two tracts consisting of approximately 1.194 acres and 4.127 acres locating at 1 Gridiron Lane, adjacent to the city limits. The full text of Ordinance O-33-2024, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the City Clerk of the City of Florence, Kentucky, 8100 Mill Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo, second. Mr. Wynn, any discussion? This is a second reading. We have discussed this at caucus and had already taken a first reading. So if there's no other discussion, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Wynn?
Yes.
Ms. Kemper?
Yes.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
Next item on the agenda is the first reading of Ordinance O-4-2024, an ordinance relating to personnel, amending Ordinance O-33-23 relating to personnel policies, job descriptions, authorized positions, and the pay plan. This ordinance makes revisions to the job descriptions, pay plan, and lists of authorized positions sections of the personnel policies and procedures. The full text of Ordinance O-4-2024, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the City Clerk of the City of Florence, Kentucky, 8100 Main Boulevard, during normal business hours. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo, second. Ms. Kemper. Mr. Hunt.
So just real quick, this is really just kind of a reshuffling of the positions. In my former role, Director of Business Community Development, will be split into two roles, which is the Director of Community Development, and that person will oversee plan review, zoning, managing over 100 projects simultaneously, and then a Director of Business Development role, which will focus on business retention and expansion, incentive packages, marketing strategies, conducting site searches. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that there is currently a risk manager, community project administrator position on the pay plan. We are amending some of the duties that relates to the community project administrator portion to be less focused on economic development and more focused on special projects that are always coming up within the city. Maybe that's grant writing or something like that. Then there are a few positions on the pay plan that are not filled currently, that are no longer needed, and we're striking those to offset some of the costs and things like that moving forward in the next couple fiscal years.
Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Wynn?
Yes.
Ms. Kemper?
Yes.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
Next is discussion of possible action, municipal order M oath. No, I'm sorry. It's just something here. I'm sorry, it's first reading of ordinance O-5-2024. It is an ordinance amending O-9-06, fixing the compensation for the office of mayor and the term of office beginning in January 2027, and members of city council for the term of office beginning in January 2025. This ordinance makes revision to compensation for the offices of mayor and city council. The full text of ordinance O-5-2024, including its exhibits, is available for examination in the office of the city clerk of the city of Florence, Kentucky, in the Florence Government Center, 8100 Union Boulevard, Florence, Kentucky, during regular office hours. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo? Second, Mr. Osborne. Mr. Hunt?
Okay, so I guess first thing, if you can't hear my mic or if it cuts off in the middle as I go through this, it's not a conspiracy, just kind of wave and I'll see what's going on with the mic. I guess last week when we discussed this, my mic went out. So, a lot of information to go through. With what was sent out last week in my memo, I did provide salary survey results from similar cities throughout the Commonwealth. I know some of you had questions outside of the meeting, so I decided to address them here for the benefit of all. And then once I get through all this, I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff. Save your questions till the end, and then you can fire away if you so choose. The first question I received concerns data and metrics used to conduct the salary survey. So I utilized the most recent salary survey conducted by the Kentucky League of Cities. Every few years, they do large-scale salary surveys for all local governments in the state of Kentucky. They're actually getting ready to do another one that should be done within the next few months. So that is where all the salary figures come from originally. And it's actually like a database. You get in there and you can filter and you can move it around. So it makes it really easy to pick like cities. But because that information was 2 years old, once I got the like cities verified, I went through and we had our staff open a record request certain cities to verify that the salaries were accurate, because I want to make sure what you had before you was truly accurate information. Regarding the term like city, that's primarily determined by population size. However, I also considered government structure for each city. In Kentucky, cities may operate underneath 3 forms of government outlined in KRS 83A. The most popular is mayor council form of government. That is what the city of Florence operates as. Second would be the commission form of government. And then last, with about 5%, is the city manager form of government. So this is important as I explain the rest of this. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit more brief overview of what that is. So in a mayor council form of government, the legislative bodies, so that's council members, they carry out duties such as enacting ordinances, levying taxes, and adopting the budget. The mayor holds the executive power exclusively, including vetoing power, oversight of all personnel, and managing all city affairs. The mayor serves as the CEO of the organization, and I'll go into that a little bit more at the end of this. In a commission form of government, in contrast, while the mayor is still elected, the commissioners replace the council members in that setting, and the mayor serves as a voting member alongside the commissioners, and the executive and legislative duties are shared among them. However, day-to-day operations are primarily managed by a city coordinator. And then you do have about 5% of cities that a city manager form of government, and that closely resembles what a commission form of government is, with the distinction that the city manager is appointed by the commissioners, and the city manager assumes a bulk of the executive responsibilities while the commissioners vote on matters affecting the city. So, and I'll explain all this in depth later on, because we're going to be circling back to it throughout the end of the night. So I guess the next question is, what are the annual salaries of the legislative members in other like cities? And I already explained what like cities were compared to what is proposed. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to start with council. For council positions, my analysis primarily considered population and municipal composition. I didn't place much emphasis on specific types of government since the responsibility of council members and commissioners are largely similar. The salary for Florence council members is currently at $17,563. I am proposing to adjust the compensation level to $20,605. So you may be wondering, how does that stack up to other like cities? And in your memo last week that you received, I had a whole table that kind of laid this out. So I will go through what you received, but I prefer not to disclose the name of the cities because I did submit open records requests to get some of the information. So instead of saying the exact city's name, I'm gonna say kind of where it is, the population size, and kind of what the salary is for that. I think that's the best way to do it because I did do open records request on that information. So for council, Northern Kentucky City, with a population of about 40,000 people, their council member or commissioners, their annual salary is $23,836. Also thought it would be important to compute what their salary will be potentially in July if they take the rubber dollar, which right now is proposed at 3.4%. So in July, that same city will be at an annual salary at $24,646. In a southwest city with a population of 27,137 people, their salary right now is $24,253. In July, it'll most likely be $25,077. A central Kentucky city with a population of 31,000 people, their salary for council commissioners is $20,605. By this July, it'll most likely be $21,305. Then also a central Kentucky city with a population of about 34,000 people. Their current salary is $19,862. I project that to be $20,537 this July if the 3.4% COLA increase is accepted and voted on by them. So that's how it stacks out. So what is the rationale for salary adjustment for city council? Is something else that was asked to me. So firstly, it's important to note that no members of this legislative body requested a salary survey or raise. Rather, it falls within my responsibilities in the administration department to monitor outdated ordinances. In changing some of these ordinances, you have to understand that you have to adhere to statutory timelines. Some of those ordinances call that out. This one specifically does. So compensation levels for both the mayor and council positions have not been evaluated for 18 years. So I think 2004, somewhere in there, was the last time that it was evaluated. According to KRS 83A, final action to amend compensation levels for council and mayor must be taken by council in the May preceding the election. So hence we had to place it on the agenda for discussion and take action on it before May, or it would not take effect by the next election cycles. It is important to understand that regardless of how you vote, the salary increase does not grant immediate raise to anyone sitting up here, not in your current position. What you would be voting on is what the next people sitting in your position would get. So for council, that is the next election cycle, these raises wouldn't take effect until January 2025. And for the mayor position, it is January 2027. So as to the why, and I know I covered this in my memo, but to benefit all, I'm kind of just gonna run through it again. So council has a long-standing commitment to ensuring fair compensation for employees of Florence, aligning with other communities in the state. Council has always did very well at looking at personnel salaries and making sure that we're fairly compensated. A lot of that has to do with recruitment and retention efforts of city personnel. I think this falls right in line with that. This proposal aims to support and recruit the retention of existing or future council members. Given the high cost of inflation, the proposed salary adjustment for the council aligns with rising costs. Serving on city council demands a significant amount of time, energy, and expertise. Council members often balance their civic duties with other professional and personal responsibilities. Therefore, it is crucial to provide fair compensation for their effort. And lastly, it is important to highlight that the salary adjustment would not make council members the highest compensated officials in Kentucky within a council role. Instead, it is in line with similar communities, ensuring fairness and equity. So that's what I had for the mayor, or for council. I'm gonna move on to the mayor, and then you guys can ask some questions if you have. So for the mayor, the way that I conducted the salary survey is a little bit different because the mayor position in our form of government is really different. So specifically, I did look at population, but I selected cities with the same form of government, so a mayor-council form of government. And that was deliberate, particularly because the mayor's position in a mayor-council form of government is, you're asked a lot more of being a mayor in that type of situation. So currently, the mayor makes $51,710, which when compared to the city personnel pay plan is the second lowest paid position within our pay plan. I propose within the memo that the compensation levels be changed to $86,937. So how does that stack up to other like cities? Well, once again, I will read the population size and the compensation levels, not the city name. But a central Kentucky city with a population of 37,000, their mayor is compensated currently at $92,745. If you project a 2.6% COLA raise over the next 3 years, and DLG will do that, I just use a pretty conservative figure of 2.6%. By the time this would take place in 2027, that same mayor would make $100,000 a year. Let's see here in the Louisville area, not the city, Louisville, outside there, there's a city with a population of 28,474 people. That mayor makes $92,745. Once again, it'd be over $100,000 in a few years. Southwest Kentucky city with a very similar population of 31,180. That mayor makes $86,937. You could project that out to $93,000 in a few years. Central Kentucky city with a population of 31,394 people. The mayor makes $86,694. And you can project that out to just below $94,000 in a few years. And then another central Kentucky city with a lower population of about 17,000, that mayor makes $78,378. And you can project that out to be about $85,000 in the next few years. So in summary, other mayors in similar cities make 40 to 50% more than the current mayor's salary. Other elected officials in Boone County, such as the judge executive, PBA, jailer, circuit clerk, sheriff, etc., all have a starting base salary that is 86% higher than the current mayor's salary. And even with the proposed salary adjustments, the mayor position will still rank at the bottom of the bracket for similar cities in terms of annual salary when the next election rolls around, if you factor in a projected inflation rate of 2.6% over the next 3 years. Let's see here. Before I wrap up with the mayor's portion, there has been some questions that what do mayors do in this form of government? So I've created a top 10 list, and I'm gonna be glad that this is my David Letterman moment here. So, here it is. Number one, executive leadership. The mayor is the CEO of the organization. They provide executive leadership for the city government, including overseeing the administration of all city departments and services. Play a big role in budgeting and financial management. They work with Linda on the development and implementing the city's budget, ensuring that financial resources are allocated efficiently and effectively to meet the needs of the community. Policy implementation, they implement policies and ordinances that are enacted by city council. Community representation, they serve as the official representative and spokesperson for the city, both within local community, within other government entities. From a public safety perspective, they work to ensure that public safety by supporting law enforcement and fire EMS efforts. From infrastructure and economic development, I could talk to this one in depth, but they work with public services on overseeing major infrastructure issues. We are a full service city. This is something a lot of people do not understand, but we do have our own water, sewer, and storm, as well as maintain streets and parks and all the other things that we maintain. But being a full service city is kind of unique, especially in Northern Kentucky. From an economic development perspective, and I can tell you this firsthand, when you're working a multi-million-dollar deal every time, they want the mayor at the table to bring the deal home. It goes hand in hand with every multi-million-dollar new capital investment project that I've ever worked in the city. Public engagement, this can go on and on. Interlocal government relations, civic events and ceremonies. Probably one of the worst things on being a mayor is you're on call 24/7. Probably feels like you work 24/7. So I have talked through enough of the key points of why I believe that the adjustment of compensation level to our elected officials needs to take place. The only other thing that I will add is that the rubber dollar is evaluated every year by the Department of Local Government, which sends the recommendations to enact the rubber dollar increase to the legislative body for consideration. I believe that rather than allowing the compensation levels for elected officials to become significantly out of line, they should be evaluated at least every 2 years in conjunction with the rubber dollar increase instead of every 18 years. This approach will prevent large adjustments from taking place, which is exactly the situation that we're in now. So with that, I will open it up for really discussion amongst y'all. I mean, that's the information, or if you have any specific questions about the data that I provided, I'm happy to talk through that.
Are there any questions regarding the ordinance? Jenna?
On the city council member comparison chart, it says number position 4. Is that meaning that there's 4 city council members
Sure.
per city?
Yeah, and that's probably because it was a commission form of government, so typically you'll have only 4 commission members on that form of government.
Okay, so they're paying 4 people this annual pay, where we would be paying 6.
Sure, but in that position, you typically have a city manager that's making north of 190, so that it kind of all washes out in that situation.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, sir?
They mentioned that the pay was not evaluated.
Microphone, please. Oh, I'm sorry. So the pay hasn't been evaluated in 18 years, is what you said?
Correct.
So is the pay for the mayor and the city council member the same as it has been for 18 years?
No, you get your COLA increase every year. I mean, it's just like any other, and this is a little bit out of my lane, probably more into the other department heads that manage large staff, but you're always gonna get a little bit out of line over a 20-year period if you're just doing COLA adjustments, because there's other factors that play into salary scale versus just the COLA increase. So it does go up, and I don't have a breakdown of what the COLA increase was every year over those 18 years. I don't have that data.
What is the requirement for, let's say, Linda's job? Like, does she have to have a degree to get this job, or experience, or?
I can't say that I've ever reviewed Linda's job description, but I would imagine, yeah, every job description that we have in the city of Florence, there's a certain amount of, experience and or degrees that are required, generally speaking.
And what's the requirement to be the mayor?
There's no job description to be a mayor. KRS outlines what the legal requirements are. I believe there's a certain age you have to meet, and you have to be a resident of the city for a certain period in order to run.
Right, so you have to be 21 years old, resident of the city for not less than 1 year prior, qualified voter.
No, that's not KRS. Nor is it in the KRS for judge executives and many of the other county level positions that are paid 87% more. There's outside maybe like the county attorney, you probably have to have a law degree to run for that one.
Anyone
So
else?
I guess what I see here is our mayor is doing a great job. She is bringing new ideas to the city. She puts in a ton of hours. She does incredible work. But I don't know if public servants should be motivated by compensation.
If I alluded to that, I apologize, but that was never what I was trying to get across in anything that I put out there.
Well, you said that we need to look at these amounts in order to get like the best candidates to do these jobs, right?
That certainly is an aspect of attracting people to run for office, yeah, because you're offset your time. Typically, highly successful people have very busy schedules, and you have to offset your time, so there is a cost flip with that, sure.
So are we saying that we only want highly successful people in these jobs and not the average person?
Obviously, you would want the best candidate as possible, Leslie, to run for office. What is your definition? What would you like to see run for council?
A person who's gonna represent the people,
Okay. And that's it?
a
Just
person
represent the people?
that knows the difference between right and wrong, which all of us do,
Okay.
and a person that cares about people. And
But you're talking about compensation levels, and then you're flip-flopping back and forth. So you can, so you're saying if you're a high-value individual, you don't have those attributes? Is that what you're trying to get at? I'm a little bit
No.
confused.
But I think that the people that serve should not necessarily be the most well-to-do income people, that there's also value in having people that are satisfied with doing this job for $3,000 a year.
Okay.
So if anything, I think that for city council, that we should look at a pay decrease. And I don't think that anybody in this room has a job that they've received a 70% increase at without the requirements changing of the job. And I'm just not comfortable with also the appearance of this at this time based on previous events leading up to this. And with the median income in the city being $67,000, I think our mayor should be closer to that range.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to just say that, when I was on the other side of being up here, I took for granted what the mayor does, day to day. And now that I'm seeing it from this side of the table, there's so much, like, the mayor is on 24/7. Like, she's on call, you know, we're gonna get bad storms tonight. If we have any issues, who are they gonna call? You know, there's just a lot to the job. And I've worked in corporate America and I've seen salaries way beyond this, and they get to go home at the end of the day. She's probably can't even go to the grocery store without people bugging her. So, I'm okay with the mayor's, increase, but I do kind of, just from city council perspective, I feel like I'm paid pretty well for what I do. So I don't know that we necessarily need to have such a big increase in pay. I mean, inflation, of course, but most of us have other jobs in addition to coming to meetings on Tuesday nights and ribbon cuttings. I mean, things that we can do when we can do it, but this isn't our sole income, but the mayor's is. So, and there's 6 of us to pay, So I would like to propose that we reevaluate the amount that city council would get paid. Not necessarily asking for a pay decrease, but to be fair to the city, I think that, it's taxpayer dollars, and I don't know that we need a $3,000 increase, but that's just my opinion, so.
Can we
Ms.
vote
Wingo?
separately on
Ms. Wingo?
these?
This one.
I think I just want to share that I believe that this position has changed since 2007. This has become a bigger city. This has become a city that has more activities occurring, more economic development occurring than probably, I'm gonna guess, any other city in northern Kentucky. And possibly, we are now the 8th largest city in the state of Kentucky. I think at one time it was 10th largest city and we were surprised at that. We continue to grow. The demands on this community and on the mayor and our staff have increased and increased and increased. They have done work way beyond what any individual person you expect them to do, and they get it done and they work hard. I think that having seen, I know Mayor Whalen, the last several years of her term, she was here every day. Most people don't know that, but she was here every day because the position has grown. It's just, there's so much work that a mayor has to do. I have no issue with increasing the salary for mayor. Mayor Abishan isn't guaranteed that she's ever gonna see that. That's the next mayor that's elected that would receive that increase. And none of us are guaranteed that we would see an increase either. We may not be here next year. It may be 6 new people up here. I have no idea. But I also believe that city council can do more than they do. Some people are very involved, get involved in lots of activities. It's not a requirement of the job, but a lot of us do. And I don't think folks realize how much information and knowledge we have to gain over the course of our tenure on this council. We have, if you wanna talk about ordinances, talk about how they operate, how they work, what you have to do, what you have to know. You have to understand every one of these. Every one that's legal and it has great detail in it. It's your job to learn that and understand it. And it means training. It takes a lot. It also takes a lot for us to sit and listen to people, criticize us who don't understand what we do. So I'm okay with what we're proposing. I just wanted to get that in there, but I do think that the mayor's position has changed considerably since 2007.
So to answer Leslie's question, this ordinance is an ordinance together. You can make an amendment to the ordinance if you have a first and a second and it passes, and then we can pass the ordinance as amended.
Okay, I want to build on something what Pat just said. It makes a lot of sense, but maybe I wasn't as smart with my words that we do more than just go to ribbon cuttings and meetings, for sure. I mean, there's so many events, city events that we attend, and planning commissions, and business council, and there are a lot of lunches and networking things that we do attend, and so it is more time consuming than it sounds when I just said ribbon cutting. So, but I'll go ahead and make the motion to amend to break it up so that we vote on mayor's salary and city council salary separately.
Okay. So your motion is that we consider the mayor's salary separate than the council salary?
Yeah, because this is the same ordinance, can we vote on mayor's salary separate from city council salary?
Or can she just amend the?
Was there a motion made to approve this
Yes,
ordinance?
so we have to vote on the amendment first. We have to-
On the ordinance,
no.
just vote on the ordinance.
You have,
The first and the
Yeah.
second.
but.
Come on,
but
he's
there's
the
a motion, of
attorney.
course, You can vote to amend.
Oh,
According to Robert's rules.
So who made the motion? to
She
amend?
made motion to amend. Your motion is, let me just, maybe this will speed it up. Is your motion to vote separately, or do you have a proposal for what you want to do with council that's separate from the mayor?
Proposal.
Okay, so what is that you want to propose?
I propose that we reevaluate the increase. We're at 17,563 now, but is the 20,605, is that something that we as a council feel like is a fair increase, or can we maybe look at something not as drastic?
So, I don't want to lead you down a road you don't want to go down, but if you would say, I want to amend the ordinance to amend the council salary to X, then we can make that motion in the ordinance, and then
Why can't you discuss it?
yay or nay on that, and
So a
then,
specific number?
if that's, I don't wanna lead you down that road if you don't wanna go down that road, but that would be probably the cleanest way to handle this. motion.
Okay, so,
But if you don't wanna go down that road, don't go down that road, I'm just trying to make it clear for.
but if I suggest X, can we always reevaluate? Just because I say X doesn't mean that we have to stick with that number.
We'll debate it.
Okay,
You'll make that motion, and go on the floor, and it'll be debated.
okay,
And so if it fails, then we can always answer,
okay.
that's why.
Just to reevaluate.
Or just to leave it to the council compensation until later date, if you're gonna do that.
Let's leave it to a later date on the council.
Okay, so your motion to
Yeah.
amend is to amend the ordinance so that the council increase would be evaluated at a later time.
Yes.
Okay, so she has a motion to amend, so now we need a second.
Second.
Second by Leslie. Now we have discussion on the motion to amend. Any discussion?
Can I ask when you would take that back up? Is that something that you anticipate doing the May preceding this election, or would this?
No, I would say we could discuss it at the next meeting, or next caucus meeting, or, I don't know how the timeline works, but
Discuss it right now.
to get it so that it passes by May.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just know what information you need from me. The numbers that I proposed are very scientific, for lack of a better word. So I can give you the raw data and you kind of look at it from there.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so we're doing discussion on that motion to amend. Is there any other further discussion about the amendment? Okay, roll call vote on the amendment.
Excuse me. What are you trying to come up with?
Okay, so we made a motion and a second to
I
approve the
understand
ordinance. They want to take the council piece, the council increase out of it for
I
now.
understand that.
And so we're voting on whether or not you want to take the council piece out of it for now.
Okay.
So if you vote yes, you're affirming that you don't want to have a council increase at this time. For this amendment, and then we would consider the overall ordinance, which now would just pertain to the mayor at that point, if that passed.
But basically, what we're trying to do is to adjust council's salary.
The motion that is on the floor to amend the previous motion
I know.
is to not change council's salary.
Table it for evaluation.
Don't use the word table. To defer. This table is a whole nother parliamentary procedure kind of thing. Any other discussion? All right, so motion, or, voting on the amendment. Roll call.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Kemper?
Yes.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 5-0.
All right, now we will consider the original motion that was motioned and seconded for the original ordinance of 05-2024 as amended now. Is there further discussion on that ordinance as amended? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Chambers?
No.
Mr. Nguyen?
Yes.
Ms. Kemper?
Yes.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Mayor, motion passes 4-1 as amended.
Thank you. Next item is discussion and possible action of municipal order MO-33-2024. It's a municipal order authorizing and directing the city attorney to file a civil suit related to construction services performed by Kinetic Recreation Design LLC at the Stringtown Park Playground and Lincoln Woods Playground. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. So most of you are aware of the conditions we have going on, but for the purposes of the audience and those watching, I'll quickly recap. About 5 years ago, we redid the safety surfaces at 3 parks: Lincoln Woods, Kenneboo, and Stringtown Park. Almost immediately, and definitely within the 1-year warranty period, those surfaces started to fail. So in an effort to get these fixed and get the product that the city paid for and the residents deserve, community deserves, we filed a lawsuit against Kinetic Recreation in 2021 regarding those defects at Stringtown, Lincoln Woods, and Kenneboo. So in order to resolve that litigation, we entered into a settlement agreement with Kinetic Recreation. They agreed more or less to come back and redo all 3 safety surfaces, and they did that. Within the settlement agreement, basically we had a 6-month period where no other failures could occur within that period. At 2 of the 3 parks, Stringtown and Lincoln Woods, we started seeing failures almost immediately, cracking, and it's gonna continue to get worse. So we made the decision that's why we're here today, to authorize the city attorney to file a civil suit against Kinetic for the cost, for Stringtown was $145,507, and Lincoln Woods was $187,190. The goal is to get that funding returned to us, so then we can execute those products, most likely with a different product and definitely a different vendor. So that's why we're here today discussing that.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Eric, have any of the chemicals, like, or any of the, materials that have, been exposed have any type of risk, to the public, any type of toxic risk or?
Yeah, so I've seen that comment float around or heard that. All the chemicals and all the things that were included in the product are all approved through OSHA. So to our knowledge, there is no toxic surfaces out there that we're exposing our kids to. Again, they all have to meet certain regulations and go through those particular precautions as our food does and all those things. So this is no different when it follows the OSHA standards. So.
Any other discussion? Need a motion for municipal order MO-3-2024. Second. Hold on, I think I have to read it first. A municipal order authorizing and directing the city attorney to file a civil suit related to construction services performed by Kinetic Recreation Design LLC at the Stringtown Park Playground and Lincoln Woods Park Playground. Is that Mr. Wynn and Ms. Kemper? Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Wynn? Ms. Kemper?
Yes.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Mayor Mission passes 5-0.
Thank you. Just like to recap our book and literacy event. We had a great weekend for promoting literacy, authors, books, all things books. We had a great turnout at our Books and Bottles event at Florence Nature Park. A couple keynote speakers who did really well, talking through their creative process, as well as a panel of authors that answered questions. So that was really awesome. And then we had some meet and greets here. The highlight, I think for the day was the Hungry Bookworm puppet show. It was awesome. So we hope to build on it next year and do an even bigger event. We are, speaking of events, we'll be hosting our Youth and Government Evening Program on Tuesday, March 19th from 4:30 to 6. And that event is open to the public. It's an open house format. Attendees can arrive anytime after 4:30 and are invited to attend our council meeting here at 6 p.m. The local schools will be visiting the Florence Government Center for field trips March 19th through March 21st, and I believe we have all city schools represented, so that's exciting. We're hosting a new event this year, the scavenger hunt for St. Patrick's Day. It's going to be a lot of fun for you and your family. The scavengers hunt will start here, right here at the Government Center campus. It's from March 9th through the 17th, and throughout the city, there will be 9 giant Irish symbols that will be hidden. We encourage participants to capture their journey by taking photos at each stop and then email Victoria Riley at victoria.riley@florence-ky.gov. And participants that send all 9 will receive their pot of gold. And the first clue is to the place where the mayor's duties flow, where the city holds its prestigious ground. The clue to your hunt can here be found. So be on the lookout beginning March 9th. With spring around the corner, mark your calendars and start snapping photos in Florence. We will have a citywide photo contest from June 3rd through the 10th, and more details will follow in the next week. And the City of Florence Police Department will host our annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 23rd at Thomas More Stadium, home of Florence Yaws. The event will begin at 10 a.m. and have games, music, photos with the Easter Bunny, and local vendors. For additional information, please contact the Community Services Coordinator, Victoria Riley, at 859-647-5425. Anyone on council desire recognition? Any department heads? Anyone in the audience? Please come to the podium. You can make sure that the green light's on.
Okay. Brian Kinross, City of Florence. What else do you need? Is that it? Okay, right. So I appreciate Leslie's courage to take a conscious, well-thought position on the topic of civil servant compensation. I really appreciate her thoughtful words and discussing this. Like Josh, thanks for the information. It's a great information, good thing to consider and understand. But however, because now that I've seen that this is my only chance to speak ahead of you all, coming back and discussing the compensation of council members, as a declared city council candidate, I urge and even plead for you to go against Leslie's good judgment and vote yourselves a raise. You just voted the mayor, the one who will be the mayor, I understand, the next term. However, it's highly unlikely that Mayor Abershon will not be reelected. A 70% increase. Go ahead and vote yourselves a 17.5% increase. Of course, the justification is, just like I said, we're not voting ourselves a raise because this doesn't take place until the next people come into play, right? That's what Patricia said. Thank you, Patricia, for bringing that up. However, like I said, how likely is it that the incumbents do not return to office? David, how long have you been in office? It'll be 50 years if you gain re-election, right? Yeah, it will be. If you get re-elected, it'll be 50 years of service, right? Gary, you've been in here a while, and I know Mel, who's not been here, is rivaling Dave as far as the amount of service. So it's highly likely that most of you will be returning to office, unless you do me a favor and you vote yourselves a raise. So, if I'm fortunate enough to serve, if you do this, I'm just telling you, I will love it. Great for me. Good thing to campaign on. If you do, and I do get office, I will guarantee you take that increase and donate it to the charity of my choice, or to the chief of police or chief of fire to donate to their people to spread it around, because I don't need it. When you serve, your position is to serve.
Yep.
I love the term of civil servant compensation. Isn't that an oxymoron?
Yeah.
We serve to serve the public, we serve to serve our community, and we serve to benefit our community, not to gain additional compensation or vote ourselves a raise. So please, again, I urge you, vote yourselves a raise. I look forward to this coming up in the future. Thank you.
Anyone else? Dwayne?
Yeah, you read it.
Mayor, fellow council people, Tom, I heard some today that you're retiring. Congratulations. Thank you for serving the city well. As you may have heard, our senator is currently retiring, John Schickel, and I will be running from his seat. So I need your support, and I'd just like to share with you a few minutes what I learned being on Florence City Council. My first project was a ribbon cutting on southbound 75. As I got to walk down the ramp, I'm looking at the beautiful construction of that ramp, and walking down the ramp, I was like, somebody thought about this and strategically thought about that. We didn't have the money at the time, but we put the plans in place anyway. That's good government. The next project was Highway 42, the expansion of the left-bound lane. Excuse me. Good government is working with the local, state, and federal government to get that project done. Mayor Whalen was like, if we can put up $1 million, the state will be able to fund the rest of it, then the federal money will kick in. That's good government. From an economic development standpoint, I look back on Menards, and when we were putting together the plan for St. Elizabeth, there's no way we were thinking that was ever going to happen. That's absolutely incredible. So I guess the sexy part of Florence City Council is we had to build the infrastructure. So good government is building the infrastructure, putting in the roads, the sewer, so that capitalism can take place. And looking back on those projects, I never thought we'd be able to create 3,040 jobs. Those are unbelievable numbers. I got a chance to meet two of those people one time. They were from Eastern Kentucky, and they were extremely happy that they bought a house on Burke, that it was unbelievable that the job they've got at Bosch, and she was able to get a job at St. Elizabeth, and the school that they were able to attend was 100 times better than where they were from, Eastern Kentucky. And that's good government. While in council, there was a lot of nonsense going on throughout the country about defunding the police. We on council at that time put a resolution together, and we actually increased the budget that year. So good government is making sure that we back the blue. David, I've saved the best for last. On council, there was a young couple named Scott and Laura Spiker that came to the city. And they said, we want to do something to honor my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran. And the first 2 years, it didn't go well. In the third year, we made some changes, and it absolutely exploded. So we were able to give $40,000 to the honor flight. And I still get emotional to this day, being a guardian.
I agree with you.
Yes. And so good government is supporting our veterans, and we need to do whatever it takes to support our veterans. And lastly, I'd like to say, society grows when a wise old man plants a tree that he knows that he will no longer sit under. And I appreciate your support, and I look forward to planting a lot of trees in Frankfurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Anyone else? All right, if not, I see a motion, entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, you have someone else? Please come to the podium. Please state your name.
I'm John Landrum. I am a small business owner. I own my own semi-truck. I live on Center Street here in Florence. Recently, I've received 2 tickets for my semi setting up my house, which is behind my house. You can't see it. Nobody sees it except one part of the back tire. It's all visible in there. I've received 2 tickets from the city, $200. So far I paid out to the city. Been there for 3 years, no issues. I run at nighttime for Meritor on 25. I depend on my truck. That's my daily income. Now that I received the tickets, now I had to move it. Now it costs me, and I'll just real fast go through it. Now it costs me $200 a month to keep it parked where I got it parked at now. Plus $300 to $500 a month. I have to hire somebody, which I'm a mechanic also. Now I have to hire somebody to go up there twice, sometimes once a week to twice a week, check my truck out to make sure it's good to go for the road. Last week or 2 weeks ago when it was 0 degrees, I had to literally go up there on a Friday night, start my truck and leave it run until Monday night my run. The motor I have in that, which is factory, it cost me almost $1 or cost me a gallon an hour to run. So now it's costing me that for not allowing it at my house to keep the electric plugged in, which keeps my oil warm, my water warm. It's just right there. I can check it out before I leave to go out on my nightly run. So I have a problem with it being there for 3 years and no issues. No neighbors complain. The Florence Elementary School is right across the street from my house, and the graveyard is. I have nobody that has complained, but I have now a guy that goes by there, one of your employees that goes by there every single day, at least once a day. I catch him, and he looks strictly up in my driveway, and he catches, my truck is a Kenworth, and he catches the Worth on my mud flat. That's the only thing he can see. It's in nobody's way, nobody's problem, and I get a ticket for it. My problem is it's been there for 3 years with no issues. Now I'm having an issue with it. It's costing me more money. I have to pay every mile I drive in the state of Kentucky, any state I drive in. I've driven over 2.5 million miles. And now this is an issue for me. I don't see why I'm getting penalized for something I drive, knowing that down the street and around the corners, your all's ticket says something like over 1 ton. Well, that eliminates pretty much every vehicle out there for 1 ton. Not allowed to have a 1 ton pickup truck in your driveway, not allowed to have no trailers, car trailers in there. There's a couple of buddies of mine down the street that they drive for a living on commercial vans. They're there every day, and I'm the one getting penalized for it. I'm not trying to burn them guys. I'm just saying, your rule is a 1 ton. That's about everybody's vehicle. Any SUV, anything is over 1 ton. I'm not understanding why after 3 years of being there, now I'm getting penalized and I have to pay now a lot monthly now because I can't keep my truck out my house.
I do know that we have regulations due to the wear and tear on our roads, and Eric, if you could speak to the design of our roads and the code enforcement process and how things work, and then my suggestion may be that, I'm not sure if you've talked to this gentleman personally or not, but maybe that you can meet with him after the meeting, and that if council is interested in reviewing any of our code ordinances regarding any of the impacts that it would, be if we change those ordinances, please welcome conversation with Eric, and then we can always circle back. So, Eric, if you could just maybe touch on this.
I'll start with the vehicles that we're referring to are for employment business purposes. So as far as a 1 ton, this is something that if it's utilized for in residential districts, is they're not allowed. So when we design our streets represent different thicknesses based on the use. Okay, so we've got local streets, that's a certain thickness. This is all of Boone County, by the way. We've got sub-collector, which is going to generate more traffic. Sub-collector would be something like Ewing Boulevard. So it collects from a lot of different areas, okay? And then you have collector roads. Collector roads could be something like US 42, Kentucky 18. We have a lot more traffic. So they're all designed based on those loads, okay? So in regards to, like the mayor said, this is something that council wants to entertain in terms of changing. We're just enforcing the zoning regulation that's in place. It's a Boone County zoning regulation. This isn't a City of Florence specific standard. It's all of Boone County, okay, in these residential districts. So that would be something if council wanted to make that decision to make that change, then they could direct me to do so, and then we could work with our planning commission to make an amendment. I want to also correct something, because just in fairness to my own staff, you did say that you've been there for 3 years and you've never had a, yeah. So I know in 2020 was your first time we reached out to you. That was a completely different code enforcement officer. You got a courtesy notice then.
Yes.
And then 6 months later, we had a whole nother different code enforcement officer. That was your second one. That was in March 11th of 2021 until this last one in December. So in all fairness, just to speak the facts, we don't have a new guy that's here trying to target you in any way. So I just want to clean that up for council, for one, and
Yes.
And anyone in the audience as well. The other thing, and I'll let you speak. The only other thing I just wanted to say is we get a lot of calls from the community that see this. There's always two sides, right? That want to, defend their side of the table. We get a lot of complaints, and a lot of times, because I have 3 code enforcement officers, I mean, they may be on one part of the city and they may not be back for 3 months, okay? They gotta run this whole city and then work those cases, okay? So they're not necessarily, if they drive by and it's not there, they may not be back in front of your property, maybe for another 3 months. So where I'm going with this is, we do get a lot of complaints for this very thing. People don't wanna see that in their residential, and everybody's different, I get it. But I just want you to understand, there are 2 sides to this coin, so.
Well, I know that nobody in my neighborhood does. I know that for a fact. I've got all my neighbors on my side, nobody complains. Got a graveyard across the street from me, and I have Florence Elementary. The school bus is way more than my semi, so I know the road's good. So the school bus is loaded with children, weighs a lot more than my tractor does. So the road issue isn't an issue. And I'm 2 seconds, I'm right there behind Route 18. I jump on 18 to go to Meritor to start my evening, and I work all through the night. Now, if I have changed, not to be a smart aleck or anything like that, but in order for your code enforcement not to see me, I gotta change my job to the daytime so I can have my truck. Because right now, it's costing me a few thousand extra dollars on the month now, just because it's not in my driveway to check belts, check the air in my tires, check all my fluids. I literally have to pay somebody now to go up there to Kiswell building and go through my truck once, twice a week. Colder it gets, like I explained, I can't plug it in. I have an extension cord coming out the back of my house. I plug it in, keeps all my fluids warm, truck's ready to go. I know that. Now it sets outside. Anything below 25 degrees, I have to go up there, start it a day before, 2 days before, and the colder it gets, it's gotta run 24/7. So my fuel doesn't gel and I can still continue to work. Can't make no money if my truck sits and can't get started, then that's a big bill, it's
Mr.
fine.
Landrum, are you in an HOA?
No, ma'am.
And then.
Even if he was, it wouldn't have any bearing.
I understand. So, and Mr. Hall, do we have to have the same, codes, ordinances that the county has, or are we allowed to differentiate from that?
If you make that decision in an area within the zoning code that you guys want it to be, I'd say within reason and within, advisement from legal, depending on what that was, so I don't want to make that a blind statement, but for something like this, if council decided that this was allowed in Florence, then amendment could be made within the Boone County zoning regulations to accommodate that.
So what I see right from listening to Mr. Landrum's story, what I see is the city, costing him money. He's an employed person, he wants to have one vehicle at his residency. And I get, maybe I'm different, but I don't, if my neighbors have a work vehicle in their driveway, I'm happy that they have a job and that they're working. So I hear what you're saying, that not everyone's like that. That there's different reasons for these ordinances, but I really would like to see the city council look at look at this and maybe make some considerations for, someone to be able to have one vehicle. Because I also, like, if you park your truck at this factory, how do you get to your house?
I gotta commute now. I gotta commute, so now I got gas money involved in, although it's a mile and a half. But now I still have to commute to get my car to go up there, sit outside. I'm very picky on my cars. Now it sits in the truck-fueled area at Kiswell Building with all those other trucks, take chances. And another main thing is one of my best friends, was my father, Dale Landrum's best friend. His buddy's trucks just got broke into over in Florence. And now I am one of those guys that gotta worry about somebody roaming the trucks, breaking and entering. And before, I could laugh at everybody because my truck's sitting at my house. I know nothing goes on. So all the break-ins now my truck's gonna be one of those. That's another issue that I have. It's out of sight, out of mind, and I can't sleep in it 24/7 to protect it, but at my house it's there, you know? And like I said, it's behind my house. Nobody even knows I even got a second garage back there. Of course, the city does because of permits and stuff, 20 years ago. But it's just like my second garage. Nobody sees my truck. You only see a part of the mud flap. That's the only thing that's visible. It's the only thing that's visible in that truck. So it's not like it's a sore thumb. I don't park it out in the street. It's not in my lower part of the driveway where it's eyesore. But it's costing me now. And it's costing me fuel. Like I said, everybody doesn't realize that every mile I put in the state of Kentucky, the city, I have to pay per mile. I get a quarterly of every state I drive in. Like my tags just cost me $1,850, and heavyweight tax cost me $650. Not counting my fuel, I use $1,300 a week in fuel alone. With my,
Jenna, did you?
I was just gonna say, thank you, I hear you, and I'd be open to talking to Eric more about it, and maybe taking another look at it.
I
for city
appreciate
council.
it. Thank you. Thank you. I just letting, for the 3 years it was there, I had no issues. Plus, now I have to pay a truck wash to do it. It's $85 to have my truck washed. But I can spend 4 or 5 hours at my house on Sundays before the week starts, cleaning it, polishing it, checking everything out. I'm ready to go. A couple times through the week, check it out, but it's there at my house. And now it's a burden now. Now I'm like the rest of them. The main thing is, like, my buddy texted me the other day and said a couple of the trucks were broken into right there in Florence. So whoever's out roaming around, it won't take no time before they hit the Kiswell building with all those trucks sitting there. So I'm just saying how much of a pain in the butt it is not to have it at my house.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, I can't follow Brian.
I entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Nguyen, second by
Wow.
Ms.
He did
Wingo.
amazing.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for coming.
Good job.
Yeah.